All right, let's look at the state of the nation right now: rising insecurity, widespread hunger, and of course, allegations of threat to our democracy. What do you have to say?
Well, loaded question. Let me start with insecurity. I think the government started well when they rejigged the security system. And at the time, the military took control of the whole process by flushing out some of these terrorists from where they were hiding. But what we have seen in the recent past, and even now, is that they appear to have come back with full force, creating the impression that our military are no longer in control, which is dangerous. And that is why Nigerians are complaining. That's why Nigerians are shouting. I have always believed that if the appropriate command is given to our military, they will smoke these bastards out. I have always believed that. I have no doubt in my mind. We cannot continue to fight insecurity or claim to fight insecurity when amongst us you have people who do not want the war to end. You see, it is not possible for those who are not Nigerians to come into this country, take over local governments across the northwest, northeast, come to southeast, come to southwest, take over forests, without somebody guiding them. They must have been guided by Nigerians. So I think, without commenting too much on this issue of insecurity, the president must make his orders very clear to the military high command and give them timelines. This was how they did it, which affected Jonathan's election. But this one, they're starting very early. President Jonathan's own was less than a year. They started bombing everywhere, including police headquarters, kidnapping students, kidnapping everybody, killing people. But I think the president should be in a position to identify them through the security agencies. So as far as I'm concerned, we have not done much now to tame the rate of insecurity in our land. They should clear off the entire place. Don't give impression that they have better armaments, they have better equipped than our military. This was the same military that succeeded in so many other countries, South Africa, Liberia, Sierra Leone, and other places. So what is the problem? They got the same training, they got the same encouragement. So let the order and the command be very clear to the military. There should be no half measures. They must smoke them out and deal with them.
Rising hunger and the complete left, right, and center.
Well, there has always been hunger, but I think it has to do with the policy of government. The removal of the subsidy, which almost every presidential candidate claimed to be in a position to remove such subsidy, and now the floating of the naira. I think the mistake was that we did not plan for the cushioning of the effects of such things. Because immediately after that, within 24 hours, everything turned upside down. We have to also recognize, without sounding to be for the president, that he met a battered economy by his party. The economy was bad. The economy came to its lowest ebb during President Buhari's regime. But you became president to do the job. You came to clear it. So there should be no excuses. Yes, Nigerians are crying, we are hungry, we are hungry. Try to do one or two things that will bring down cost of food, cost of medicine, and let education be also available to the people. By the time you have things that are touching directly to the people of Nigeria, the cries will be less. But the truth today is that most Nigerians are going to bed with an empty stomach, with no food in their stomach. That is the truth. I don't know whether they're getting it. And if you should continue, I also don't know what the consequences will be. And I think the reaction will vary from individuals to individuals. Yes, that's hunger. Those that are producing the food are not allowed to go to their farms in the north. So you have everything is complicated. But it is the duty of government to take the issues one after the other and deal with it. It is not rocket science. Okay, put up your team. There is hunger in the land. How do we address this hunger? The idea will come up. Government will implement it. I suggested at a time that we should loosen up our border a little bit, which I learned they did, to allow some food stuff. That's what caused rice to come down to a bit 80,000, 70,000. There are other measures that can be taken. People you are governing must be alive to see the complete benefits of those harsh economic policies. If all the people you are governing are dead, no matter how good those policies will turn out to be, there will be nobody to benefit from them. And the essence of government is for people to live well, for you to protect them, for them to have access to the essentials of living, essentials of life, food, medicine, and so on and so forth. Most people are dying because they have no access to HBP drugs, sugar drugs, anti-sugar drugs, and all that. They die. It wasn't so before. So the president must be properly advised, and he must be willing and ready to take the necessary steps and give necessary orders and the appropriate ministry for this thing to be done. And when money is released for such things, it must be put into it wholly.
All right, let's go to the issue of the suspension of Governor Fubara in Rivers State and the elected structures in Rivers State. ZLP has never or has not said anything in that direction. I've tried to follow other political parties and individuals, but I don't know whether ZLP has reacted to that pronouncement by the president.
Well, if you say you have been following the issue of Rivers, maybe you have not followed it. Maybe the day you didn't follow it was the day I came out. I was one of the most vociferous on the perfidy that took place in Rivers. I must tell you that I condemn it, I do not support it, and I will never support it. That doesn't mean that it was not done or it has not been done. A governor was elected to serve his people. And of course, there is nobody anywhere that was not assisted one way or the other to be where he is. So you should not brag with that. Fubara was never allowed to breathe as a governor. Fubara was choked by those who claimed that they put him there. He was nobody. They forgot that he got there by votes of the people of Rivers State. It got to a point that instructions were not taken by his appointee, who are commissioners and other people, because they were not put there by him. In order to pretend or to show solidarity, the State House of Assembly members decamped, 27 of them, from PDP to APC. They had a press conference authenticating that. They swore to an affidavit authenticating that. When they realized that they goofed, when people like us came up as, okay, and they go and do another election based on the provisions of the Constitution, They said they did not decamp. They went to court and started manufacturing arguments that whether their name has entered the register of the new party that they decamped into. That's not what Section 109 is telling you. That's not what the Constitution is saying. It says once you have left the party that took you there and decamped to another party, it concludes the process. It doesn't matter whether on your way you say you're not doing politics again. It doesn't matter whether on your way you decamp to another party other than that one. So they started manipulating the process to the extent that Supreme Court was deciding on another thing. From the blues, the issue of 27 decamp lawmakers came into the obiter judgments of the Supreme Court. I was taught in the law auditorium of the University of Lagos that a court does not give you what you didn't ask for. I was also told that in the law school decades ago. And the students who are in the university now are also told the same thing. And there are authorities to support that. So how did the position of the comment on the carpet crossing of the 27 members enter Justice Iheme's obiter judgments? How did it enter there? Your guess is as good as mine. The case is still traveling from the lower court, all to stifle and make Fubara incapacitated. And that was why I said, let anybody in this country, man or woman, look unto heaven. Say, Almighty Allah, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, our Lord Jesus Christ, the 27 members did not decamp. Let anybody in this country look unto heaven and say that. They're all lying. They decamped. They've lost their seat. When I say such a thing in another station, they say, but Dan, we are preaching now. This is not church or something. I say, no. You believe that there wouldn't be moral content in this politics we are playing. That would have concluded the matter if another election was conducted for them to contest under their new party. So ZLP stood by Fubara. We are still standing by Fubara. I don't want to tell you what we have done behind the scene for him to come back. We are still working. We have no direct contact with him as per working for him. But when we have opportunity, we say one or two things. And then we are not doing it for any reason other than to strengthen democracy. It was possible for president to do what he did without removing the governor. President Jonathan did it. So removing governor means that was the hand of Esau, the voice of Jacob. So we are opposed to it. We are not in support of it. We will never support what happened to Fubara. He was elected by the people, and the president ought not to have removed him.
So how will you describe the role of the FCT Minister, Nyesom, the president, and of course, the larger implications on our democracy?
You see, I will describe it by making few comments, because I've had a running battle with him on that. You say you didn't see me, you didn't hear. I've said something a lot. Google me, you see, with myself and my party, we have stood on that matter, based on principle. Because when President Buhari didn't want Nyesom Wike, I, the Nwanyanwu, contributed more than 80% of his second term. When the collation of results was stopped, don't forget, I knew what some of us did to open the collation. The suspension of the collation of results was to remove him. Take it to the bank. I, the Nwanyanwu, with few others, knew what we did to open his coalition and that of Fintri in Adamawa State. I have never met Fintri till today. So just to have democracy. These are things I don't want to talk about. So if that happened to you, you succeeded. Why would you do that to somebody else? Based on principle. I am the son of an Anglican catechist. There are values I cannot compromise. I cannot compromise. Wike knows what I'm saying. So it is not a matter of his role. But we take solace that there is no condition that is permanent. Everything will pass by. And history will record it for every role you played. When people find themselves in positions, they think they have arrived and that nothing can change anything. So you see them behave like God all over, but even in the States. They have friends, they will no longer talk to them, they shut them out, blah, blah. The day they leave, they remember they have friends, they start calling. Is that life? Yeah, they didn't want their friends to come around so that their friends will not know there is food to eat there. So I think Fubara will come back. And I think the president has seen it, that even though he had taken that decision, a good leader is a leader after realizing a mistake. It is not a crime to turn back and do the right thing. And Fubara should be allowed to govern. I remember in one of my interviews those times, I said, look, President Tinubu, if your problem is reverse votes, the only man that can give you reverse vote is Fubara, who is the governor. As at that time, Fubara was controlling 98% of Rivers people. Even now, that is out. Rivers people refuse to succumb. If you go and conduct free and fair election today in Rivers for governor, same Fubara will win. Free and fair, one man, one vote. Fubara will win with over 80%. Take it to the bank. So you don't just get a man, pin him down. Because you see, some people will attract sympathy. It's like Tinubu, President Tinubu, he has attracted sympathy in some areas. They've started fighting him within 2 years. I said, no, I'm not in APC. I will not enter APC. But I said, no, you can't do that. Allow him to finish his tenure. He still have 4 years, let him finish. 2 years, you have already started fighting president. But somebody was there 8 years. Those issues you are raising now, what's happened during those 8 years? You became deaf and dumb. So why are you talking now? Was there no hunger during Buhari's time? Buhari took the foreign exchange market to a very funny level. It was during his time that you take a call to central bank, they bring dollar for you at 200, you walk over the place, sell it for 400, 500. So within 1 week, 2 weeks, you can become a billionaire. During the time of Emefiele. So Fubara have attracted sympathy. Even those who are not with him, just as President Tinubu, some people are saying, no, you should not disturb the government, let them finish. Are you getting my point? I'm relating you to that one. So there are Nigerians that are reasonable. There are Nigerians that don't believe that you should do things the way you like because you're in power, because you have power, you're in office, so you can do anything you like. No. So conduct election today in Rivers. Make it free and fair. Let it be done. Let it not be done the way they did the presidential election in Rivers. Fubara will win 80%. So I am for Fubara today. Before, I will still be for Fubara for tomorrow. I don't need his call.
All right. You talked about you will never move to the APC. There has been a gale of defection, especially from the PDP to the APC, even from some from the Labour Party to the APC. And people are already insinuating, are we drifting to a one-party state? What's your take on all of this?
No, we're not drifting to a one-party state. These are some of the political engineering that could happen in the system. And I also said in one of your sister stations, I said, look, let all the governors enter APC. It doesn't bother me. What bothers me is about the voters that are going to vote. We had 3 or 4 governors that governed their state for 8 years. In the last presidential election, they wanted to enter the Senate, which meant 1/3 of the state you governed from your own side. They all lost. Are you hearing me?
Sure.
They all lost. Okowa was a vice presidential candidate to the PDP. In a state he governed for 8 years. In a state he got accolades. But he was flawed by another party in the presidential election, by Labour Party. He was flawed hands down. So, and I told Mr. President Tinubu in that interview, take this carpet crossing into your party with a pinch of salt. If you check most of them, they have issues with EFCC, ICPC, and other things they've done. So they're just going where their sins will be forgiven. So don't blame them. Self-preservation is the first law of nature. But they're not there with their heart. And that's why I said, Mr. President, take it with a pinch of salt. Some will go there and even work against you. The way they're going. How can you? You have been very disloyal. You have shown yourself as a man without character and integrity. And you can prove it over the years that you are consistent with these vices. So, who is President Tinubu that you cannot betray? Once President Tinubu is a human being, he will drink from the same cup because it is inherent. It is inside you. A good man, you can't pretend to be a good man. It is inside you. You can't acquire being good. It must be inside you. So even when you react to showcase who you are, you wouldn't know as a person because you are showing yourself the person and the stuff you're made of. So it doesn't bother. It doesn't bother me. Let's keep going. Yeah, when I say I won't enter, I have my own party. And I love my party. We are small. We are building. But you cannot hear because everybody's jumping, everybody's throwing his suit into a burning fire. You remove your own and throw it there. No. You ask yourself, what is the nexus? What do they have that we can link to what we are? You can support a candidate. You can have a relationship, a coalition, as they're having. You can have understanding on a particular election. But you should not sell who you are. You should know that before you form the party, there were certain things you agreed upon. That this is our party, this is our ideology, this is our mission, and this is our vision.
And what's your take on, since you've mentioned the coalition, what's your take on this talk about some opposition parties midwifing a coalition?
There's also nothing wrong with it. 10 political parties met here. It's not yet out to the press. 10 political parties met here last week. We have started putting ourselves together to take issues and see how we are going to do about it. We don't want to bring it out so that they don't call it another coalition. But 10 parties met here last week Thursday. Another meeting is coming up next week. Committed political parties to see how, look at on health, look at on education. This is what we are thinking. We have not talked about who should be the presidential candidate. At the end of the day, we say, okay, let us choose a presidential candidate that will run and let him run under this platform. That is the understanding I told you. We may say, okay, let us look at all the presidential candidates. If we are not ready to do it, where do we go? So that is how it is done. You don't. They're just enjoying themselves. They're enjoying themselves. Most of them came to us. We said, well, okay, let's see how it goes. Let's see how it goes, because their intention is not in the best interest of Nigerian people. How can you be having a coalition? All you are talking about is power must move to the north. That was their first statement. We want to move power. How? Okay, tell me, let me understand it. Is that the main purpose of this coalition? I thought you were going to tell me that President Tinubu has not done well. President Tinubu has failed here. This is our option. He has failed there. This is our option. etc. etc. You have not done that. You are just saying we have to drive him away. How? The reason my parents sent me to school is for me to learn and also to have knowledge with the wisdom of God, so that I can decipher, so that I can look at issues as they approach you and take the best option. Okay, if you are going to fight Tinubu, fight him based on issues. Education, what has he done? Development, what has he done? Somebody told me yesterday, it was in the FCT, that something has been done. I mentioned somewhere else to him. He said, yes, that's true. I said, so do the research. You get what I'm saying? I said, do the research. Let us see how it goes.
Okay, let's wrap up with this. Just your summary of what you think, your assessment of President Tinubu's 2 years in office. Let's wrap up with it.
President Tinubu started on met a very terrible situation. And I mean factual. He embraced it. Some of them have not yielded the fruits expected by Nigerians. But when you are far, I am saying this because I have knowledge. There are areas you can say, okay, President Tinubu has done well. On the issue of hunger you talked about, you say he has not done well because people are hungry. But by and large, I think he has time before the next election. If he wants to recontest, he has time to make amends. Let him think, let him take advice outside the box. Because it seems when you trust somebody, he's telling you the same thing every day, you are relying so much on it, you have no list. That's what I like Babangida, President Babangida. Even President Obasanjo, when President Babangida was president, at times in the midnight, he would take his car and drive with few A's to go and look at some projects. The next day at the council, when you are talking, he said, no, I was there last night. I remember he did that on few occasions in their highest order. And the ministers were shocked. I was there last night. I saw this thing, I saw this thing, I saw this thing. What are you reporting here? I'm not saying the President Tinubu should do that. But I think he should also expand a little bit inflow of knowledge and suggestions on how to make this country better. He may have done his best. He may have worked hard. But Nigerians are thinking that his best is not best enough. Maybe because of the information, because of lack of knowledge. I was telling the governor not long ago. I said, do you know all these things you have been doing? Nigerians don't know about it. Information. They say, how? I said, I mentioned this thing somewhere. The journalist asked me, are you hyping him up? I said, those things exist. And they believe me because they know I won't lie. So President Tinubu still has 2 years to correct whatever he didn't do well. His duty is to make Nigerians happy. His duty is to create the enabling environment for Nigerians to find food to eat. Nobody should go. President should not be distributing money. It's when you allow farmers to go to their farms to produce food, enough food, that's when people will eat. When you make it easy, when you get to the hospital, you find drugs. That's okay. But as it is today, he has a lot to do to gain the total confidence of the Nigerian people.